Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I thought we'd carry on with some tactic videos and look at the relics area of the codex and how best to use them. Before we dive in, let's get the shout out of the day, which is going to Mage Aramel for his comment regarding the flayed ones. It's quite an underrated comment. I've never really thought of playing flayed ones in units of 5 as opposed to maxing them out, especially for those secondary objectives. So you're definitely onto something there. As for the relics within the book, otherwise known as the relics of the Aeons, we've got 14 in total, and 6 of them are dynasty specific, so really we've only got 8 of them, and if obviously you choose one of the main dynasties, you're going to get 9. So there's not really a lot there for us. So today we're going to be looking at the generic relics, as we've already covered the dynastic options within their own dynasty videos. So just to contrast and compare, looking at the Space Marine Codex, they've got 15 relics, and that's before even adding the supplements, which will have another 7 relics on top of that, then the whole page with special war gear as well on top of that too. So I feel like us Necron players have yet again drawn the short straw here, but hey, we move on. So let's get down to it. So we all know that the unnamed characters can take a single relic, not including Catan shards, as they're too cool for school. Now you can get more relics within your list using the stratagem called Dynastic Heirlooms. If you haven't watched our video on the stratagems already, I'll just give you a quick rundown. You can basically take extra relics within your list if you're giving it to a separate character and it can't be a duplicate relic. So let's take a look at the first one of our short list of relics. The first one is going to be the Orb of Eternity. So it's going to replace your Resurrection Orb. It's a once per battle relic used in the command phase, and you can use it on a dynasty unit within 6 inches of the bearer that is less than its starting strength, and it's not yet used its reanimation protocols this phase. You basically can do a reanimation roll for all your previously killed models in that unit. So this is an option for either a Locust Lord, a Standard Lord, a Catacomb Command Barge, and an Overlord model, as all of those can take a Resurrection Orb for 30 points. So you can actually have multiple Resurrection Orbs within a list, but only one of them can be upgraded to an Orb of Eternity. So a +1 to the reanimation is a 4+ roll, and it's like I said, it's working on all the previously dead models within Dynasty units. Using this on units with models that have multiple wounds is quite wasteful, so you're better off serving this to 1 wound models within a unit, and at an extreme push you could use it on 2 wounded models such as Lichguard. Ideally you're looking at warriors for this, not only because they come in units of up to 20, so you got a bit of breathing room, but you can let that unit go right down to 5 models remaining, then pop the orb to roll 15 dice, and you're going to be rolling 4+ rolls to get them up again, and of course you're re-rolling ones due to their ability. Their number is Legion. Now if you're using it on a 10-man immortal unit, it's just got less effectiveness due to having only 10 models, so there's less breathing room. You could lose the entire unit in a single round of combat, and they're not going to have the re-rolls of ones to their reanimation rolls either. So this kind of relic works pretty well on warrior heavy lists that tend to come in forms of South-Tech lists or Nihilak lists from the traditional dynasties in particular. You pair those units with units such as the Ghost Arcs and the Technomancers, or even a Canoptic Reanimator, and your warriors will be ever present within the game. They also can be used on the flayed ones, although they're not going to be re-rolling ones, and they're likely to be further up the board, and they're not likely to be with one of your Overlord models and whatnot because they're not core, so you're not likely going to be doing any combination with them. I see less of a benefit to using the Locust for the orb, because the Destroy Lord is effectively buffing Destroyer cult units and not core units, whereas the noble characters either have the My Will Be Done ability and the Relentless March, or the Lord's Will if you're taking a Lord, and all those abilities are buffing hit rolls and the movement. Okay, so next we've got the Nanoscarab Casket. So each time you're using your Living Metal ability, you're going to regain an additional lost wound. So you get 1 for Living Metal anyway, then you're going to get an additional 1, so Living Metal will give you 2 wounds lost each command phase. So all the characters here have got Living Metal, as it's an ability for multi-wound models. Just note here that this doesn't actually add to your wounds, it just simply heals the wounds that have already been lost. So you can't be going further than your actual profile says it can. So the issue with this relic is a lot of generic characters don't have a massive amount of wounds, so your window of using it is quite minimal. You may even lose all your wounds in a single hit, so you're not actually going to survive to your own turn to get to use it. Anything without an inma save I wouldn't be touching with this relic, as they can lose all their wounds in a heartbeat once that Lookout Sir bubble has been penetrated. This is however really good on either a Catacomb Command Barge with 9 wounds or one of the 2 Destroyer Lords with 6 wounds apiece. Using either of those will give you the best chance of actually using Living Metal. I'd also suggest not putting it on a character that isn't equipped for melee. If they get caught in combat, they're going to die regardless. Something else I'd also suggest is pairing the relic with the Warlord trait Enduring Will, which is -1 to all damage taken. So if your character actually lives, then you're actually going to be gaining 2 additional wounds rather than 1, because you've got a -1 to the damage, and then 1 extra for the Living Metal ability, and then of course you're going to gain 1 for the actual Living Metal ability as well. In fact, going back to that Locust Lord, he's got a piece of war gear called the Phylactery, so each time you're using the Living Metal ability, it regains D3 lost wounds instead of 1. So this along with the relic will be D3 plus 1 wounds returned each turn. Probably a bit overboard, but it does kind of mean if your opponent doesn't finish him off, then he's going to be returning to almost full strength each time. Admittedly, I can't say I take this relic too often, but I can see its potential. Next, we've got the Gauntlet of the Conflagrator. So this relic has got the following profile. It's a pistol 1 and it's got a 12-inch range. It's got no strength damage or AP, and the reason why is because you're going to be firing it and you auto hit it, but instead of making a wound roll, you just simply roll 1 dice for every single model in the enemy unit, and any 6s will score a mortal wound. And this one doesn't actually replace any weapons, so it's a really good weapon against hordes in particular. The best model to stick this on is a Hexmark Destroyer, as he only carries pistols anyway, so it means he can be shooting his own weapons along with the Gauntlet. Whereas putting it on, say, an Overlord for example with a Staff of Light would mean you have to forego your shooting with the Staff of Light and instead fire this, as pistols cannot be shot alongside other weapons. So using a Hexmark Destroyer is quite a rare sight, to be honest, but as you may have seen from our recent Know Your Foe video going against Drukhari, they're very effective. Just their pistols alone will remove maybe 9 or even 10 Drukhari troop models. Then add this weapon on top of that. Speaking of which, fire this weapon first. So I'm talking about the relic here, fire that first, because the amount of shots relates to how many models there are. So don't go removing half the unit with his actual pistols and then firing this one after, realising you've actually just thrown away half your shots. So it's also got the added bonus of dealing mortal wounds as opposed to standard damage, as there's no saves, there's no invuns, not even the feel no pain rolls. Then imagine using this on a max unit of Orc Boys. Now you've got 30 Orc Boys, which is going to be 30 rolls, so on average you're going to be doing about 5 mortal wounds there, just like that. Then peel off another 10 models from his actual pistols that he carries, and of course with his ability as well to shoot again for every model that he takes away. So you're going to have actually removed half the unit with a single Hexmark Destroyer. Now inevitably you're going to get charged by the rest of the Orc Boys, but here's the other gem. He's got an ability called Inescapable Death, and effectively you cannot modify his ballistic skill, and in Overwatch he hits on a 2+, which means you can basically repeat all of this again. You spend the command point to do Overwatch, so the other 15 models that have survived won't even make it into combat. Let that sink in. Okay, the next is a common favourite, which is the Veil of Darkness Relic. So it's a once per battle option. Using the movement phase, the bearer of the relic can take a core unit within 3 inches of the bearer, remove it from the battlefield and set them up anywhere on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy models. So this is a one-time thing, but that's just fine. It's your most cost-effective method of getting a core unit into close proximity of an enemy unit. It's most commonly used with warriors or lich guard. So the warriors are the Ghost Reapers. They're only 12-inch range, which makes this Veil of Darkness relic really good. It's Assault 2, Strength 5, -2 AP and 1 damage. So if you've got a full squad of 20 warriors, that's 40 shots, and you're likely hitting on 2s with it due to the My Will Be Done ability that should have happened in your command phase, which is before the movement phase. And that ability can also apply to the lich guard as well, so they can make use of their loadouts. So they've either got the Hyperphase Sword and Shield, +1 strength, making it strength 6, -3 AP and 1 damage, or the War Scythes, which are +2 strength, making them strength 7, -4 AP and 2 damage. Now of course the Lich Guard with the Hyperphase Swords also come with that invuln save because of the shields, but these guys hit hard, and those War Scythe Lich Guards in particular can be buffed with the Disruption Fields, which will add 1 to their strength. Now you can do this on both weapons I guess, but on the War Scythes in particular, going to a strength 8 is that magic number because there's a lot of toughness 4 in the game, so you'll be wounding them on 2s. So hitting on 2s with the My Will Be Done, then wounding on 2s with the Stratagem, which is pretty nasty. So ideally the Veil of Darkness Relic should be used on an Overlord model so that he's buffing units for later on, not just turn 1 with his My Will Be Done and Relentless March abilities. And he can also use the Implacable Conqueror Warlord trait aura, so core units within 6 inches of the Warlord can reroll their charge rolls. Alternatively, a Chronomancer works magic here because you can take the War Scythes instead of the swords and shields, and they won't need an invuln save because a Chronomancer with the Chronometron ability can grant them a 5+ invulnerable save and the reroll to their charge roll as well. And then not only that, that Cryptek has its own nasty range attack, which is strength 8, -3 AP and the damage D3+3, and it's only going to cost 10 more points. But realistically, anyone could carry this, and you can use it more defensively to get you guys out of trouble. Even if they're in engagement range of an enemy unit, they can still be zipped across the board with a character. Okay, next on the list we've got the Voltax Staff. You're going to replace your Staff of Light weapon, and it's going to gain the following profile. So it's 18-inch range, Assault 4, Strength 6, -2 AP and the damage is 2. The melee stats are exactly the same, except when you're shooting with it, any 6s to hit will score 2 additional hits. So this is actually one of the better relics within the Codex, but who is eligible to take this relic? So you've got the Standard Lord, the Command Barge, the Overlord, the Locust Lord, and the Technomancer. So it's probably better served on a model with an invuln save. I'm not really keen on putting relics on fragile models. So before upgrading it, the actual Staff of Light itself is only Assault 3, Strength 5, -2 AP and 1 damage, so you're getting the extra shot, which isn't too bad, the extra bit of strength. Okay, sometimes that isn't going to make a difference, sometimes it will. It all really depends on the toughness of the enemy models. But then it gains an extra bit of damage as well for damage 2, which is perfect against Marine Infantry in particular. which feels like half the game at times. But the icing on the cake is the special ability that 6s will explode, granting 2 additional hits along with the actual hit that you scored in the first place. So this weapon actually has a max potential of 12 hits from only 4 shots. Yes, it's very unlikely, but you're more likely going to be getting at least one single 6 each time you fire, and you will be hitting on 2s as well with the Overlord or the Bard, so you're hopefully going to be getting about 5 hits, possibly 6. If you score one single roll of a 6 there. You're going to be wounded infantry on 3s if not 2s, and the -2 AP is pretty reliable for removing models, especially with 2 damage. This is one of the few ways of making your character more of a shooter based unit, as a lot of our stuff in the codex is geared towards being a melee character. So speaking of melee characters, you've got the Void Reaper next. So it replaces either the War Scythe or the Void Scythe with the following profile. It's a strength +2, making it strength 7, -4 AP and the damage is 3, and you can't use any rules to ignore wounds. So don't upgrade the Void Scythe, as that's 15 points for the upgrade. I'm sure this is actually an error because the Void Scythe is a strength ×2 weapon, so just get yourself a 5-point War Scythe and upgrade that instead, save yourself 10 points. Then you're just going to gain an extra damage and no feel no pain saves as mentioned. Now does this actually include Disgustingly Resilient? I don't think it does. Let me know in the comments below. So this is for your choppy guys, not lords, as they're going to die if you breathe on them. So again, it's for the usual suspects here: Locust Lords, Overlords, Command Barges. There is a trait that works well, which is unfortunately only available to the Mefrit dynasty, which is one of the non-melee dynasties, dang it. But it's Merciless Tyrant, so you're going to add 1 to the strength and attacks characteristics of the Warlord. So now you're getting a strength 8 weapon, but now it's damage 3. So next we have the Sempiternal Weave for an infantry noble model only, and you're going to add 1 to the toughness and the wounds characteristics of that bearer. So only the Warlord and the Lord can take this, but realistically you're not going to be putting this on a Lord. So an Overlord will now have toughness 6 and 6 wounds, so it sounds really smart, but I think there's just better relics that are more supportive to your list. Just my opinion, but if a Necron Overlord is in melee against a Thunderhammer Captain, he's still getting squished. A Veil of Darkness relic will literally get you out of that drama and away from the threat. And if he dies before using that Veil of Darkness relic, he's going to have died anyway. So this Weave relic actually isn't going to do much in my opinion. I don't mind the relic, but I've not really seen it used, and I don't really use it for that matter. Okay, another Overlord relic here, which is the Arrow of Infinity. So you're swapping out your Tachyon Arrow, replacing it with this one. So it's 120-inch range, assault 1, strength 16, -5 AP, and the damage is a flat 6. Now it's a once per battle option. This one's more for giggles really, isn't it? I mean, the profile is outrageous. It's only a one use only thing. You're hitting on 2s, you're wounding on 2s. You've got the command rerolls if you need it. It's mainly being fired at a vehicle model, or you could catch a character out without an inbun, and if you pop that character, that's a huge W. But are you bringing it to tournaments? Probably not. So guys, that's a bit more of a tactical view from our relics. What relics do you like and why, and what combos do you use with them? Put it down below, and the best comment will be getting a shout out in the next Necron video. Remember to like the video and sub if you are new. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.